Arise, minions, and welcome to unMadeGaming. We are here for another episode of The Rise, our Patreon campaign, exclusive for our patrons. So that's the thing that we're doing. So here we are, episode 6. This one is called Nothing Ventured. Yeah, it's gonna be good. I have some ideas. I just made them up, so it's gonna be great. If you guys like what we do here and you want to support the channel, the best way to do that is by clicking on that Patreon link down below and joining us at the $5 or $10 tier. And if you, while you're down there, hit that Discord button. Join us over in Discord to be a part of the community and the conversation. And as always, you will see in the bottom right-hand corner of the corruption bar, that bar serves two purposes. One is when that bar fills, I get to do what the hell I want to these wonderful players here. And two, every single dollar that goes into that goes back to the channel so we can do all kinds of fun, cool stuff like get emotes and design shirts and all kinds of neat stuff. Yeah, that's it. That's all I got. Previously on The Rise. Given a vague clue from a seemingly prophetic martial artist, our reluctant heroes made their way to the town of Loreda with newfound purpose. Looking for their mysterious helping hand, Korax decided to try a sales pitch on a mysteriously bearded man, but found no quarter. He wasn't in a bathrobe. At a loss for where to turn next, the local watering hole made the most sense, followed by a nice meal and some well-earned rest. For some of you. Korax, not so much. You made a friend, you flipped a coin, and you followed this woman into a secret area inside the tavern, where you saw a robed, not bathrobed, man with shoulder-length, wavy gray hair. And he turned to you and said, "Well, isn't this nice?" You see standing before you Galvant. What are you doing in this moment?
Korax looks past him and looks to the altar. You described in the previous episode that there was a big, I want to say, etching on the floor.
Yeah.
Of the same symbol, the raven symbol.
Yep.
Before the altar, he looks to Galvant, looks to the other person, and walks forward to stand in the center of this symbol, where he would kneel down and begin to pray. It is his first time back at an altar in many, many months.
That is true. Oh, we'll play musical chairs real quick. There we go. So are you praying silently, or are you like aloud? What does your praying look like?
He would drop to his knees in the center of this symbol, and it's a very, very soft muttering. If someone listened really closely, they would hear the names of the old gods. But it's effectively he's praying to the old gods to thank them for seeing them safely through on their travels through the darkness of the Nightlands.
Okay. Both the unnamed bartendress and Galvant stand quietly. They allow this to happen. Not that you ask permission for anything like that, but you crouch down, you begin your prayers. And how long does this go on for?
It's probably about 5 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. They remain quiet and fairly like respectful while this is happening, right? Once your prayer commences, do you stand?
Once he's finished, yeah, he stops, he stands up, and he looks back to them. It's been a long time to find a house like this.
Galvant looks to the woman and sort of gives her a nod. She looks to you and sort of smiles in like a like a good luck kind of like shrug, and she turns and begins to walk back to where you guys had come from. Galvant looks to you and he says, "Now I wouldn't have expected someone such as yourself at my door earlier." But here you are now. A sales pitch. Really. Really.
You can tell a lot about a person when you speak to them. Doesn't necessarily need to be about the conversation they were expecting.
And what did you tell of me?
That as much as your mossy lawn was unruly, you weren't out to murder us?
That is true. I am not out to kill you.
But I wasn't sure if you were the person we were sent here to see.
It all depends on who sent you here to see me.
He's a very cryptic man. He lives in the monastery in Uruk.
Oh. There's definitely like disdain or annoyance in his voice, dripping. Well, in that case, it appears as though you were sent to find me. And to find me you have. In relation to what, I'm not entirely sure. You seem to be in trouble?
Not necessarily in trouble, more moving away from it. What we were looking for is a safe haven for a period of time. We have a child with us that I'm sure you've seen, and we need to keep it safe.
From what?
We've come from Corso. I can tell you that much. Our destination I would rather not share. But
and what makes this child worth protecting?
Isn't every child worth protecting?
Well, in a greater sense of the word, I guess. However, if a child in the wild, among animals, is weak or meek or lame, it is left to fend for itself. And if it survives, it's all the much stronger. So what makes this child worth your protection?
Child has potential.
Well, don't we all?
Not everyone has potential. We have potential, or I am starting to find my potential. You are clearly skilled.
I'm learned. So you would like respite, hospice for you and this child, and I assume your sordid companions.
Most of them need some sort of help along this journey as well. The mother, obviously.
And you are under the impression that I can aid you in this.
Our mutual friend said that there would be someone here in this town who could assist us on our forward journey. And I'm assuming you must have spoken to him because he speaks in riddles and didn't provide a name.
I have never spoken to him. I'm aware of who he is. I'm more curious about you.
How aware of him are you?
Enough. The pin you wear. And he sort of taps his foot on the floor, right near the symbol. Where did you come by that?
My home. It is a symbol I've carried with me most of my life.
And where is your home?
In the sunshine. Outside of the Nightlands. It's only a small village. It's nothing large.
Do you have any idea what that symbol is that you carry?
I do.
And you wear it so openly?
That I do.
Interesting. And your prayer here. And he sort of looks over his shoulder at the altar. Is that something you've done regularly?
Not for a while. There is little opportunity to stop and pray in Corso. I have been there for many months, trying to learn, trying to gain knowledge, trying to improve my own skills. And it's not the type of thing you do in Corso.
You're aware that people like you are heretics. Traitors to be hunted and put down by the reconciliation.
I am aware. They tried. We ran.
And yet you...
Hence the reason we're on the run.
And yet you openly wear that pin still. And you actively seek the help of the adherents.
I did not actively seek adherents. I actively seeked someone. I didn't know who they were, or what they were, or what they worked for. I was purely advised that there was someone that would be able to help.
And what did you think would come of showing that coin to the girl at the tavern? If not assistance from the adherents.
The coin that I was given by her.
You knew what it was. You knew what the message meant.
I did.
And yet you showed up.
Opportunities like this don't come every day. I've been through many, many towns. I traveled. I didn't lie when I said I was a traveling salesman. I was for many, many, many years. And not many towns do you find people who are willing to harbor those such as ourselves.
You weren't very good at it.
You weren't very good at what?
The salesman. Traveling comes easy, but selling doesn't seem to be your strong suit.
It was not. I mostly sat in the back of the wagon and read the books that he had.
So, assistance. For your band of miscreants and a child. And what do I have to gain from this?
What is it that you require? I've asked you this question before and you said nothing.
It's because you're trying to sell me my own wares.
Technically, I was trying to purchase your wares, not sell them. To you, at least.
What skills do you have, boy?
Well, I'm a damn good salesman.
What skills do your friends have?
They are more proficient with weapons.
Interesting.
I am not.
So you fancy yourself the brains behind the operation?
Someone has to be. And it's not by choice.
The adherence doesn't have much power here in the Nightlands. We are splintered. Tiny cells used for information gathering. The temple in Samara would be of more assistance, but getting there, especially from here, is a challenge. We can hide you here for a short amount of time, or at least hide the child and mother. But it's not free of charge. You seem to know the old ways, and you seem to keep a symbol that I don't quite think you fully understand what that means. So I'll give you the benefit of the doubt here, that you're not one of the dragon's men in disguise, or some kind of more nefarious beast under that skin. Talk to your friends.
I'm pretty sure the dragon would send someone smarter than me.
That's where you're wrong. You're unassuming. You've got in here. You are... He kind of rolls his eyes. Trustworthy. And so, you slip past the guard. You're exactly the kind of person she would send. Or any of them would send.
Would you like to take the one weapon I have?
I would not. I would like for you to
I use
return.
it to cut apples.
I would like for you to return to your allies and see what they think about aid from the Order of the Adherents. And if they are as interested as you are, you may return to me at my estate. And your shoes will remain intact.
They may not be as trusting as I am.
Well, if I am to help you, I am to help all of them.
I don't know what their thoughts are on the old ways.
I will not jeopardize what few allies we have here in Laredo. So if your friends are not on board, there is nothing I can do to help you.
And what is it that you are going to require from us? Because everything is give and take. You're not going to help us for free.
That is correct. But what that is, I haven't decided yet. For now, fetch your friends, figure out what your plan is, and then return to me with a simple yes or no. And if it is no, we part ways, and we neither speak of this ever again. If it is yes, I will treat with you and your friends. Is that a fair deal, salesman?
That is as fair a deal as we're going to find here, I believe.
He strides over to you, and he kind of places, for as much sass as he's given you, he kind of places like a gentle, like fatherly hand on your shoulder, and he nods to you and he says, "Make your peace." And he nods over to the shrine again. "Enjoy your night, and I will see you on the morrow."
And how do I leave this place?
He smiles kind of like brightly, and he walks towards the opposite side of the room from the altar, and he presses on the wall, and the wall like Scooby-Doo's, and he begins to leave, and then it Scooby-Doo's back, and you are alone in this altar room to the adherents, to the old gods. What are you doing? It's quiet. It's like a tomb in here.
I think Korax will take one last opportunity to pray.
Okay.
He may not get this again. He knows that Mina is now suspicious of a lot of people and may want to leave sooner rather than later. So he takes his last opportunity to pray, his last opportunity to be in a place that is effectively holy for the old gods. Okay. Thanks them for their guidance and leaves.
Okay. We cut to a Disney-esque chirping of birds. No sunlight streams through the windows. However, the smell of something cooking downstairs in the tavern sort of wafts up the stairs to where you guys are sleeping. And whatever makes for the morning here in the Nightlands happens. You guys all awake after a period of appropriate sleep. And you begin to head downstairs to this tavern. You are greeted again by the same fairly attractive barmaid who kind of Her gaze lingers on Korax. It's like kind of a knowing kind of glance. She nods to Mina. She nods to Seydlitz. And if the NPC trio come with you, she nods them as well. As you guys take your seat, she brings over plates of breakfast. It's not uncommon breakfast from the Nightlands. This appears to be some kind of porridge sort of thing. I know one of you had seen a golden bough earlier, so you know there's a farm sort of nearby. So you know that they are getting some kind of fresh produce in some kind of way. But there's some kind of porridge. You can tell there's mixed in an indistinguishable meat into the porridge, so it's kind of like a chunky gravy kind of situation. But it tastes good. It's pretty hearty and kind of warms you and fills you. And she places these all on the table for you guys to enjoy. What are you guys doing?
Mina has definitely just wolfed everything down,
Mm-hmm.
and as soon as he finishes, just looks at everyone and says, "What's the plan?"
Well, if you want to eat so fast and let me eat my breakfast first, then we can discuss. So just sit down for a minute. Seydlitz is taking it very slow and relaxed.
Korax doesn't eat a bite. He just keeps pushing it around his plate as to make it look like he is eating, but he doesn't eat at all.
Okay.
Can I roll an
Sort of waits.
observation to see that he's not actually eating anything?
Korax, are you hiding it?
I think it's just sort of the distracted child that doesn't want to do it. You
Yep.
probably would notice it.
Yeah, so I don't think you have to roll anything. You just sort of you can hear the tinking of metal on
Seydlitz just
porcelain.
is like about to take a bite. He looks over. He sees Korax like, if you don't eat, you'll probably pass out later.
Probably.
I'm not carrying you.
Shouldn't need to carry me while we're in the town. We'll be fine.
I mean, we've carried him for most of this journey, so
I don't remember you picking me up once. We have options as to what we can do. I met with our mushroom friend last night. This is probably not the best place to have this conversation, but they could help us. But there's things you need to know about them, and I would rather not talk about it here in an open, busy tavern. But they can help us.
Didn't
But
I
are gonna
tell
require
you
help.
not to do anything that would get us in trouble?
You said don't do anything that would result in me living underneath his lawn. I am definitely not going to live under his lawn.
well, you're not going to live under there.
You definitely won't be alive under that one, but
I shouldn't end up under his lawn. He can help us. He can harbor us for a time, but he is aware of that there is potential danger with doing so. You all need to be aware of who they are, who we are, before accepting anything.
I don't need to know who they are. I just need to know if you trust them.
I trust them. But what does that mean from someone that you met a week ago?
No, I just thought if you trusted them, I don't. So I'd like to move on.
That's fair. They can harbor us for a time. But as with everything in this world, it comes at a cost. They're going to want a favor.
What's the price?
That I do not know. They wouldn't say. All he said is that you need to accept that you're willing to accept the help of their organization. and then they'd be willing to talk.
When I get a job, I always take the price up front. There's no exception to that. I don't do things if I don't know what the heck I'm doing.
There's no requirement to stay. But if you want safe harbor for a few days to allow Stephanie and the child to recover from our travels, they can provide it. We do still have our destination in mind, unless you don't want to go there.
Mina will look over at Stephanie and Arua and kind of nod reluctantly and say they probably need to have some rest.
I can't assume that the price is going to be too high for a 5-6 day stay.
Well, we can hear them out.
If we choose to hear them out, that means they are going to assume that we're helping them. Based on what Korax is saying here, are you telling the whole truth? Korax, are you telling the whole truth?
I'm telling you as much truth as I'm willing to say out in a public space. They have an organization. Their organization is not necessarily
And
accepted
basically
within the
they're
Nightlands.
willing to help for possible favors in return.
When has anyone offered you help for free?
Definitely no one in the Nightlands.
And last time I checked, we're still in the Nightlands.
I have a feeling I'm going to regret this. Did that not pick up?
No,
I
we
said,
heard.
It came through.
"What? Why would you?"
Yeah, Mina will look at Stephanie and say, stay here while we discuss some things.
Okay. Where are you guys headed?
Back to the rooms?
Like one of the sleeping chambers?
Yeah.
Okay.
As we go back up, Mina will grab the back of Dresden's shirt, lift him out of the chair, and propel him up the stairs as well.
Oh, okay. Oh, I didn't. Okay. He wasn't aware he was part of the decision, as he was quietly just eating and minding his own business, only half paying attention to whatever you were saying. But he is forced up the stairs and he stumbles his way towards the room. I assume a good shove into the door, or into the room itself, and the four of you are in the room.
Once the door closes, Korax turns to Mina and Seydlitz. What are your views of the old gods?
As good as my views of the new gods. It's all myth and make-believe.
But you are aware that supporting the old gods, believing in the old gods, makes you a target within the Nightlands.
I mean, crossing the street the wrong way makes you a target in the Nightlands.
At least you have a positive attitude. Our friends, they are adherents. Helping them will put, should we be caught, or should anything come to light, a bigger target on us by the reconciliators.
I mean, throwing a Molotov cocktail at one, I can't imagine what would make you a bigger target than that.
That was my point.
I felt that spite. Son of a bitch. Ugh.
I think for the baby's sake, I think we like both her and the mother could use some rest. And as much as I don't want to trust these people, I think it's in their interests that we do.
The trust is purely between you guys and them. These are, in effect, my people. I have no issue trusting them. I have grown up around them.
Mina will look at Dreschen and say, thoughts?
I didn't really know that I was weighing in here. I'm all for protecting the child.
And you do have a stake in this after all, don't you?
Does he?
It is your kid.
Whoa. It's not my child. I'll be honest with you. I'm just sort of coming along with everything. Stephanie said that she saw visions. She said that she saw the redeemers of the Afterworld, and she described you and to the letter. And I'll be honest, that's a lot to take in. And then I found you, which was a lot more to take in. And then you came, and you helped, as she said you would. And the child was born, and I've heard some of the things that you all have said about the child and yourselves. It's frankly a lot, but I did sort of make it a rather large scene at the Korik, and I'm fairly certain that if I return to Corso or any town that is populated with Knights of Reconciliation, I will be killed fairly quickly. So, to be honest, I have been using the need for protection of the child as a way to garner protection for myself. I did a service that was asked of me, but I don't want to die for it. I would if need be, but ultimately I'd rather not, and I feel like the three of you also would rather not, and so I feel like in your company the chances are greater than on my own. So,
Did anyone ever tell you that you are terrible under pressure?
I don't have a stake in this as much as the baby has a stake in this. I'm more or less looking to the three of you for my own survival.
Well, then I do have one question. If it's not your kid, what is your relationship to Stephanie?
Stephanie just found me, much the same way that I found you. She was with child far along, and she needed assistance, and I'm not an awful human. I wanted to aid her. She was in need. Stumbling around the street, and I saw her be attacked at one point. She fought off the one man that was attacking her, and I rushed in to aid her when I could, and she told me that she needed my assistance, and I brought her to the keep, and that's where she told me that she had been receiving visions for some time now, which is in itself strange and should have been turned in to the knights at that moment, but something about her told me not to listen to her, to believe. And here we are. So I don't know what's best for a child. I don't have a child. Look at me. I couldn't save the child myself. That's why I found you. I don't even think I could hold that. And he kind of like waves his hand to Mina's spear. So I guess if you're asking for my opinion, whatever keeps the child safe.
This whole time we've been toting around a stranger.
Yeah, you've been toting
Figures.
on all of you are strangers.
Well, while we do this job, you'll have to look after Stephanie and the child then.
Oh, of course. And if whatever the task is, they'll offer us assistance. I don't know much about the adherents. I know of them. I know that they can be a dangerous lot, but I guess if they are the lesser of two evils when it comes to Nalumriel and the other dragons, or the knights for that matter. And if the enemy of my enemy is my friend, I guess. So, if you think they can be trusted, and he pointedly looks to Korax, then I take you at your word. You are, after all, the redeemer of the Nightlands, or the Afterworld. Thus far, you've done nothing to disprove what Stephanie said.
Mina will look at Korax as well and say, I agree. The enemy of our enemy is our friend.
All right.
How much information you want to give them is another question that you may want to think about. They do not know about the divinity. They do not know about what happened in Corso. All they know is that we've
Have they
come
asked
here for
about
help.
it?
He did ask, what is the problem that you're running from? To which I said, the reconciliators.
Well, if it's not part of the job, they don't need to know.
Seydlitz?
Yes.
Care to weigh in?
If you're asking my opinion, he's right in the enemy that my friend is, but it doesn't mean that still doesn't mean we can trust them. They might betray us in other ways. Knives in the backs of martyrs and the like.
But at a bare minimum, they won't turn us into the dragon. She will not be a problem. At least from them.
For the baby's sake and Stephanie's sake, it's worth the risk. I mean,
I do think the end goal should still remain Samora. A child should grow up in the sun.
No, I agree. This is just a means to an end. Allow Stephanie and the child some time to recover and recuperate.
All right. Korax, would you mind giving us a few minutes?
Whatever you need.
No. Sorry. Actually, I screwed that up. But I was talking to the other guy. What's your NPC's name?
Dreshen.
Yeah.
Sorry,
yeah. So you say
I'm hungover, so I'm having some.
That's all right. So Dreshen says, "Oh, of course. I'll be downstairs." And he
finish your
opens the door.
breakfast, Dreshen.
Yeah. He opens the door and proceeds downstairs to return to Stephanie and Aura.
Seydlitz to Korax. All right. Tell us the whole truth now.
That is the whole truth. The meeting with them.
I get the sense you're hiding something.
Aren't we all?
We're going to travel around like this. We can't really hide that much stuff like this from each other. Doesn't help.
Unfortunately, this is the Nightlands. Trust only goes so far. We've known each other for a week. You already know about things I carry on me that would
I'm
probably
not
fetch a nice
asking
price.
for your life story. I'm asking, how do you know these people? How did you contact them? How did they come in contact with you? What happened?
Well, you were there when we met Galvant.
Yeah, and I thought nothing
his-
of it. Apparently, I should have been suspicious from the start.
Apparently. When I asked the questions of the barmaid, she handed me a coin. It is a symbol from the adherents. At the end of the evening, I returned the coin to her. She took me to a hidden location. I don't think I could get back there. It is hidden by magic. Where I met with Galvant again. It was an adherent safe house. The place they don't want found by reconciliators. He made the offer, which I've explained to you already. That he would only help us if all of us were in agreement. At which point we can go to his house and he will chat to us there. But if we're not in agreement and you're not willing to accept help from their organization, then he said, don't even bother showing up.
Secrets, lies, deception, trust. This is why I hate the Nightlands so much. Why did I follow that vision?
I
Because
believe
vision-
that is the first time you've heard Seydlitz say that.
It is. He never admitted it.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Secrets will get you killed in the Nightland. No argument from me.
Secrets will keep you from being killed in the Nightland.
Let's go. The sooner we go, the sooner they can plan to betray us.
They definitely
that's
won't
true.
betray us to the reconciliators, because they are just as much a target as we are. A bigger one, actually.
Mina will look at Seydlitz. Are we doing this?
It seems so, even though I know he could just leave, passing up help at this point would be foolish, even no matter how suspicious it is.
All right, Mina will stand up
Knives in the backs of martyrs.
and head out the
Great.
door.
Okay. Where are you heading?
Mina will go downstairs and where Dreschen and Stephanie are and say, stay here, stay safe, we'll be back.
Okay. Corax, Seydlitz, do you follow?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And are you headed to Galvin's house? Is that what I'm to presume here?
Yep.
Okay. So, Mina, a man on the mission, leads the group to Galvin's house. You know the way. It's not far from where you were. You round the corner. You see the what makes for a fresh lawn. And you walk your way up the path towards the house. There's no squishing boots. There's no sinking feeling. It is hard ground, and you walk up towards this path. And as you are about to knock on the door, Mina, the door opens for you, and standing in a similar but different robe, still not of the bath variety, is Galvant. He looks to you, Mina, glances upward to your spear, looks beyond you, and sees that trailing you are, I assume Korax is second in line, and Seydlitz is kind of dragging his feet. He looks to all of you, cocks his head to Korax, and says, "So, have we struck an accord?" Korax.
Oh, you're saying to me?
Yeah, he looks past Mina and says to you, "Have we struck an accord?"
In as much as more information is required as to exactly what you want. There is no issues, as discussed. However, my companions would like to know more about what you want from us.
Well then, by all means, come inside. And he takes a step back from the door, and you can see the inside of a rather lavish home, a rather lavish estate. As you have taken to call him a fancy man, it is what you would expect of a fancy man's home. There is a small foyer into the house, which opens up into a larger sitting room where there are plush, high-backed, winged chairs. And there's a fireplace kind of crackling with a cage around it to prevent any kind of embers from protruding out into the house itself. There's a large rug. The house smells earthy, as if like perpetually someone has just gardened, right? That like earthy dirt smell, like from your hands. Yeah, he leads you in. You see there's several staircases that sort of lead up at awkward angles. And he leads you towards the sitting room, where you can see that on two separate walls it is lined with books. As he said to you, Korax, he is a learned man. He sits in the largest, what looks to be the most plush, high-backed, winged chair, and sort of nonchalantly passes a hand around to the remaining chairs in the room. He says, "Please, sit." Your companion...
Mina will wander.
Oh, good.
I was just going to say, Mina will wander over to one of the chairs, but just stand behind it.
Okay.
No thanks, I'll stand.
To each their own. He kind of motions to Korax to sit.
Korax walks to the chair closest to the bookshelves, stares at them. This is a lovely collection. Haven't seen one like this outside of a bookshop.
Korax, roll me an intelligence, difficulty 4. Anything you have to increase perception or looking would apply here.
The only thing to do with that is scanning.
I don't think scan would help in this instance.
Okay, then... Nope, just straight up intelligence. Difficulty 4.
Difficulty 4.
A bonus, difficulty 4. Oh, I'm going to spend effort.
Okay.
Oh.
You have any XP that you want to spend to re-roll that?
No, I'm going to let that happen.
Okay.
Why not?
Okay. Interesting.
It's the worst that could happen.
Well, last time I'm pretty sure I threw knights at you. Korax, you stand there for a minute looking at these books. You make an offhanded comment about not seeing something like this outside of a bookstore. And you feel like something shift in your bag. Like it, as if there's like, someone played a prank on you, put a mouse in there, right? And you feel like a shift, a jostle. And you don't have very many things in your bag. You don't have very many possessions to begin with. You feel it shift again. This time a little bit more aggressive. It kind of forces you forward just a small bit. And you feel a sharp corner. It's a book corner. You feel it again. It jabs you. there's something moving in your bag. The longer you try to ignore this and play it off as like a a cough or an itch or like a position change, the more violent this becomes.
So Korax's bag, in a sense, is his cloak.
Yeah.
He jams things into pockets within it.
Yep.
He quickly sits down and makes sure that the book that he suspects it is tucked behind his back, and he pushes his back as hard into the chair as he can to try and hold it still.
Okay. You feel that aggressive jamming in your back the entire time you are sitting down. You will take a -1 on any intellect-based roll you make while sitting in this position. Okay. And I will allow, you know what? I will allow Mina and Seydlitz to make me a difficulty 4 intelligence-based perception kind of check to see if they notice that.
Would identify and assessing danger count towards that?
I'll say yes.
Mina's not paying attention. He's just looking at Galvin.
Nope.
Nope. Okay. No one appears to be paying attention. Okay. Cool. Yeah, so you sort of sit down hurriedly and sort of jam your back in. Galvin looks at you for a second, kind of taking you in, and says, yes, I have amassed a collection. As I said previously, I am a learned man. Now, your presence here, one would assume that Korax has informed you of who we are and what I have offered you, and that we have struck an accord, and you are at least willing to hear what it is that I would request of you. First, I ask if anyone else would like to be more forthcoming with why this child needs protection. And he pauses and kind of looks to Mina and Seydlitz.
Because for some reason, the dragon of Corso wants it.
And what about you?
Ugh.
And he kind of looks around the room at the three of you. Have made you take up the charge?
Yo, want to just be honest with him.
I'm just curious why you, 3 seemingly average men, would take up this call to protect this child from the dragon.
Do you want the long version or the short version?
He like motions to like the rows and rows of books. He says, I have nothing but time, so the long version suits me just fine.
Well, I'm not really good at storytelling, so unfortunately you're getting the short version.
Well,
basically, we all had some vision of some sort. We all ended up in one place at a time. A strange man busted in, saying he's looking for these things called the Redeemers, and then here we are.
am I to believe that you are the Redeemers?
I don't bloody know.
So a strange man busted in a room, accused you of being some kind of Redeemer, and that led you to a child that you have decided to protect.
It's kind of like a
It's
strange
about as
man.
strange as it seems.
Yeah, it's kind of like a strange man knocking at your door, and you agree to meet them later in the evening, and then offer them a job.
It is kind of like that, and he is a strange man. And he glances over at Korax, who is still trying to ignore the jabbing of a book in his spine.
It wasn't me.
You do carry strange friends with you. Still didn't answer my question about what makes the child so special, or why the 3 of you have decided to take up its charge, but I'm not going to press the matter. You seek asylum. I have some modicum of safety to grant. But, as your salesman friend had made it clear to me, nothing comes without a price. And as such, this too comes with a price. He mentioned that you two, and he, motions to Mina and Seydlitz, are skilled with weapon. Is that accurate?
Yes, but I don't kill people.
What do you kill?
Just the hunter.
Well, you killed those people back at the keep.
They attacked me first.
Okay, so under circumstances you kill people. Understood. I'm not looking to hire an assassin, so if you should have to kill anyone, it is at your own defense. And you, and he motions towards Mina.
I've killed people.
Okay, well, interesting. You're aware that this task is in service to the adherents. You are already on the run from the dragon. This would, if found out, would surely brand you as enemies of reconciliation. You're aware of that?
Yep, it's a means to an ends. We understand.
Understood. I would like to make it clear, I'm not trying to coerce you into this. You may leave if you wish. No harm will come to you. I have a task. There is a group of people. Well, people is a loose term, I guess, for what they are. Are you familiar with the Casmander company? Any of you can roll me a history, an intelligence-based history. Difficulty would be 3, I think we'll go with. Because you're not super familiar with everything that happens in the Nightlands. I will say let's... oh, never mind. They're good. Okay, cool. Cool.
Yeah, failed that roll.
All right, well, technically yours would be a 4, Corax, but that's okay. You still rolled way higher than you need to. Oh, no, you didn't. You would have failed. Right, at 4?
Beats difficulty 5. That roll?
Oh, yeah, you're right. It does. It surely does. Yeah, okay, so we'll go with this. Mina, you are aware that the Casmander company is a nice way of painting it. It's the Casmander Slave Company. They are owned by a man named Casmander. They are one of, the most prominent slave organizations in the Nightlands. In fact, it's believed that most of the other slaver guilds are really just like shell companies for the Casmander company. Corax, you've lived in Corso for a bit of time on the run, in the more nefarious circles because you're a thief. You have picked up the fact that the Casmander, the man named Casmander, is not a man at all. There is a large man that has been calling himself Casmander, but it's actually run by a woman who is rumored to be ageless and have the ability to dominate your mind, hence making her very good at making slaves. So, he continues on and says, the Casmander company, they have apparently received some kind of writ, some kind of indulgence that allows them to operate outside of Corso. all of you would know that an indulgence is it's like what happens in real life, except it's okay. It's what rich people can do to pay to commit crimes. If you have enough money, you can buy an indulgence that allows you to legally commit a crime. They have an indulgence that would allow them to operate outside of Corso. It doesn't happen often, but they are stronger than most of the people here in town, and they have come a time or two, and they are too strong for me to take on alone. The first few times, less so. And he kind of like plays with the mushroom pin. But since then, they have grown in number when they come here. If my calculations are correct, and the rumors that I have heard as well, they should be here relatively soon. If you are in fact formidable with weapons, these men mean to come here to this town and take its citizens, the good people of Laredo, and turn them into slaves for Nelumriel. I would very much like for that not to happen. And so your timing and your request is most fortuitous. Now, and he looks to Seydlitz. Sir, whether you kill them or not is entirely up to you. I just wish that they would not return.
I never
Simple
said I
task.
wouldn't hand over to someone who would kill them.
Well, that is also your prerogative. So, simple task. I offer your allies protection, and you aid me in protecting this town. Seems fair.
Mina looks around and says, "It seems like a task you could probably fulfill yourself."
There was a time that I could, and I did. As I said, they have grown in number. They are more brazen. They have become more than I can take on alone. And you are the ones in need. So why don't we help each other?
I'll do it.
He looks to Seydlitz. Sir?
You're gonna need. I guess we're gonna be getting you some more lawn fertilizer then.
Well, doesn't grow fertile on its own. And you?
The fact that you openly admitted that.
I said I had dealt with their group previously.
And the amount of bullshit flying around in this room would keep it happy for a long time too.
Well, I see no reason to be more forthcoming with my words than you are with yours. Young man. He looks over to Korax.
He doesn't fight.
It seems to me that we don't really make much of a choice here, because if we're going to stay in this town, they're coming here anyway.
I mean, you could turn a blind eye and let them take whoever they take, and as such, you may take the child and the mother.
They take the weak.
They do. And they take the strong that they defeat. So, most people have stopped trying to fight them off. I know you said you don't possess a weapon, but I assume you do possess some kind of skill, or you wouldn't have made it this far. Or you wouldn't have been a redeemer.
Maybe you can offer him some trinkets of yours that will help him help us.
Yes. Let me see what I have. Stay here. Talk amongst yourselves. When I come back, I expect an answer from all of you, and perhaps I will have something that may aid you. And he gets out of his chair. He looks at Korax one more time and says, Korax, roll me the difficulty 4 stealth. It would be a speed check. Difficulty 4 speed. Stealth bonuses would apply to this.
Definitely don't have anything for stealth.
Perfect.
Difficulty 4, submit. Success.
He looks to you and says, are you ill?
I tend to fidget a lot. Your chair's a bit spiky.
Well, perhaps stand. And he leaves the room and he heads up one of the oddly angular sets of stairs. And you can hear his footfalls receding into the house, leaving the three of you alone. Do you discuss anything, or does time pass and he returns?
Mina will just look at the others and saying, we're doing this right. I don't care about adherence or anything like that, but there are innocent people in this town that we need to protect.
I figured you would say that.
That's not an answer.
I personally can't see much choice. Regardless of who these people are and what they want us to do to help them, we're not really helping them. We're helping people. And unless we're deciding to take Stephanie and run now, the slavers are coming. And if her and the child are here, the child is a perfect target for their organization.
Yeah, the child be screwed, I know. You kids get yourselves in so much trouble. It amazes me.
I mean, we could have just stayed home and hidden, if that's your cup of tea.
Well, we're here now, aren't we? Might as well see what must be done.
So agreed, we're doing this. I mean, I'm doing it whether you're helping or not.
Yeah, I know. That's why I'm helping anyway. Because I'm not going to get... I don't want to end up finding out down the long road that you ended up being a mud shoveler for someone.
I mean, it's a lot less complicated than the shit we're going through now. It does have an appeal. And I mean, we take Korax with us, another target's always handy.
Wow.
Oh, you say if shit hits the fan, we just throw Korax at them and run?
I mean,
There's worse plans.
I can
Ayless just
outrun
kind
you.
of learns that, looks at Korax. No, you can't. Not if there's an arrow in your knee.
Wow.
I was an adventurer once.
Always have a backup plan.
We have two choices. Run or help protect the innocent. Mina, you seem set. Seydlitz, you seem old and grumpy.
It's because you don't want to look at me any other way.
I struggle to see you any other way.
I struggle to see you other than the brash kid who always gets in over his head.
Pretty accurate. Definitely all wise.
And while we're talking about our feelings and how we see each other, Mina, you need to chill. I can tell the way you're fidgeting. Something's on your mind.
Oh, that's Korax. Korax.
No, I'm just sick of being manipulated like we are.
Your paranoia is getting to you again, isn't it?
I mean, it's not paranoid.
Feel like you're
People really
paranoid.
are out to kill you.
You're not wrong. As you guys continue to discuss this in agreement, you hear the footfalls returning towards this room. He has in his hand, Galvin, has a small wooden chest, probably about 6 inches long by like 4 inches wide, has a brass handle on it, or a brass clasp on it. And he places it on the table in the center of the room, this little like a living room table. And Korax, you notice immediately that the brass clasp is actually, you know what? Everyone else, Mina and Seydlitz, roll me a perception. Difficulty is going to be 4 as well. So difficulty 4 intelligence roll, sight-based.
Mina is really angry that he doesn't see anything.
Right? Okay, so he places this down. Korax, you notice immediately that the brass clasp that is closing this box is the exact same one that you wear on your cloak. He rotates this thing like on its axis and opens the chest. And in it, you see that there are these 3 strange, ornate bottles. They are square. They're very thin. They're probably like a quarter centimeter thick, but they are about 2 centimeters wide for you on the metric scale. There's some imperial numbers there for you. So it is, yeah, and they have a weird metal like filigree on the top and the bottom, and the filigree seems to like move off the sides, almost like spider legs, and he slides these like thin, almost floppy discs out of the box and places them down. And when he moves them at an angle, like places them downward, you can see that there's a liquid that shifts inside of them. He says, "This is the aid I can offer you. You all can see that they have a slight glow to them. In the same way that you all could see the nimbuses that you've seen before, they have a similar nimbus-like glow. They just don't have an actual symbol floating above them."
Korax peers over. "You're giving us poison?"
Quite the opposite, actually. This should, in a time of need, give you some kind of sustenance and healing. So should you fall in combat, perhaps you won't. I will say, before you take them, it is not a kind process. It does hurt quite a bit.
Better than the alternative, I guess.
That is true. If you would like, take one and place it to your bare chest. It will do the rest.
What, the jar or the liquid inside?
The jar.
Okay, Mina will pick one up
Mm-hmm.
and drop it in probably somewhere on himself in a pocket or something.
Okay, you do. Korax, Seydlitz, do you also take one?
Yep.
Okay. Do you all put it in like a bag or something? Or do you do what he said?
I put it in one of my jacket pockets.
Okay. Korax, what about you, Mr. Shaky Cloak? What are you doing?
Didn't he say to put it against your bare chest at the time of need?
Nope, he said it will help you at a time of need. And then he said, if you'd like this, take it and put it against your bare chest.
Oh, he trusts him. He shouldn't. He trusts him. He's going to follow the instructions he's been given.
Okay. So you expose your post-pubescent chest there.
Dude,
And you...
Corax, get a room.
This is a room.
Not this room.
You take this device, this potion of some kind, and you place it against your sternum. And as soon as the rear backing comes in contact with the warmth of your flesh, the spider legs move and they stab directly into your pectoral muscles. And you feel them dig in just a bit. This feels like, oh man, it feels like you ever step on a nail but it doesn't like go through you? It feels like that. It's pressure. It definitely feels piercing, and you can definitely feel the uncomfortable feeling of it sliding through your skin. It's less awful than being stabbed, but it's pretty uncomfortable. And it gets in, and you feel it like almost click into place as if that were a thing that it could do, but it reaches a certain point, and you feel it stop. And it doesn't move at all anymore. And you take a breath, and it feels like it's not even there. You still move and bend just as free as before you stuck it to your chest. And you're able to button up your shirt and go on as normal. I will send you the stats on this. You all have a Cypher. This is a healing Cypher. I'll send you all that information. The mechanics later. Yeah, so you do that. And he closes the box, slides the clasp closed, and he sort of takes it and he puts it on the mantle. He says, well, I would suggest preparing yourselves. They should be here any day now. It could be today, it could be later today, it could be tomorrow or the next day. The child and the mother are safe until the task is complete. And how much longer would you like there to be safety after the task is complete? How much longer would you like to stay here?
I think a few days at most. We
Okay.
have to get back.
Okay, well,
Didn't you say 6 earlier was your preferred number? Mina?
6 days?
Yeah, you said 6 days earlier.
Yeah, 6. 6 works.
we'll
more or
work with
less.
6.
Just repeating what you said.
We'll work with 6. As I said, I would prepare yourselves. They usually make a grand entrance. It's a whole thing with them. If there's anything else I can do to aid you, please let me know.
Mina will stand up.
Mhm.
Well, he's standing already.
Yeah.
Head over to Galvin and give him a small piece of paper and say, "Can I also get these ingredients?"
He looks at it. What are these ingredients?
Just flora and fungi from around the area. He figures that Galvin can get them.
Yeah. He looks to you, looks at the list, and is not entirely sure why you would need all of this. Give me a second. And he walks over to the opposite shelf from where Korax is sitting. Korax is suspicious enough. And he grabs a small pot off of the shelf itself, and you see that in the pot is like muck and a single mushroom. And he takes this thing, and sort of with his back to you, you hear like a muttering, like almost like a whisper. And he is mumbling something under his breath, and then he turns around after a minute or so, and just hands you the pot. And you see that where once a mushroom was, are all of the bits of flora that you requested. You can take that and keep the pot if you'd like.
Thank you.
What are you using that for? Just curious.
Just an old tincture that my mother taught me to help with stress.
Huh. Interesting. You'll have to show me one day. Anything else? He looks to Seydlitz for a second, looks to Korax.
Korax looks to the books behind him. Any good reading material that I could borrow? My current books are painful.
Take a look. See what you like. Take one.
He
Korax.
stands gingerly.
Korax, none of the books can be reached from a sitting position.
He stands up and hopes that his current book doesn't cause more problems.
Well, that's not how this works. That was a 1 GM intrusion. Actually, you know what? That was a good GM intrusion. You did counter it, so I'm going to use one of my corruption bars because I have 2 of them.
Please do.
So you stand and you begin to look around, and it seems as though whatever you have done to sate the book's aggressive nature has worked, and your cloak remains still. As you peruse these books, these shelves, something catches your eye. Perhaps it is because you did not expect to see another one of these books. Perhaps it is because you thought a certain book was jumping around in your cloak, and maybe the sight of this book would prove that to be incorrect. You see before you the Book of 7 Prophecies. Nonchalantly placed in the center of the shelf, just sort of hanging out there. As you see it, the rest of the book's kind of dim, like that tunnel vision, where you see that it is incredibly rare to have this book, and he has one. What do you do?
Ooh. Korax grabs, puts his hand up, grabs the bindings of the book and looks to Gelvin.
Mm-hmm.
And unless he says anything, he's going to slowly remove it from the shelf.
Nope, he watches you the entire time.
And he stares at him the whole time he pulls the book out, holds it in his hands, and just flips it open to a random page.
Okay. It opens. You know what? Let's see. Let's have some fun with this. Roll me a D7.
8, 5.
5. You open. Oh, that couldn't have been better. Sometimes the dice are they're just there. They're ready for you. Let me see here. You open to the Prophecy of Restoration. It opens just fine. What were you expecting to happen?
Korax is looking to see if it's any different to his copy. Is it the same where the book merely looks like headings of stories that are unwritten?
It does.
Or is there more to it in
It
his
does
version?
look like just headings to stories. And do you flip through the pages at all?
He will flip through a few just to make sure that it is the same.
You flip through the pages, and it is the title of the prophecy, a vague Nostradamus-esque entry. And you notice that 2 of the prophecies are cleaner in their writing. Both the prophecy of understanding and the prophecy of salvation seem to be slightly different than previous. And I believe you noticed that wasn't there additional writing in one of them?
Prophecy of Liberation.
The Prophecy of Liberation has additional writing on it, What does the prophecy of liberation say underneath it?
The additional writing was that the Eye of Nod would be turned away from a band of travelers, and they would be free to travel on their way.
You see that written in a very identifiable handwriting to you in this book.
He would look across to Gelvins. Seems like someone's been writing in your book. And he would close it back up and slide it back onto the shelf. That's not one I need to borrow.
You know what? What time is it? It's 5:40. Yeah. I'm going to give you a GM intrusion. I'm going to hold on to a corruption bar. So a GM intrusion. Here's the option. So here's what happens. On a GM intrusion, I'm going to do some shit. You can say no and spend an XP to make me not do that. Or you can say yes, the shit I do happens, and you gain an XP, and you gain one to give to someone else. So, that's how this works. You go to place that book back on the shelf and slide it. And as you are lifting your arm and sliding it, you hear the tearing of your cloak. It seems to be caught on something. You know, this is the intrusion, that if you continue putting that book back where it belongs, a hole is going to be torn in your cloak, and things may fall out. And you know what you keep under that arm.
Oh, no. He wants to put the book back.
Okay. You may take
book
one
back.
XP, and who would you like to give the second XP to?
Let's throw it over to Mina.
Okay.
Maybe it'll make him a little bit happier.
Okay. Mina, mark 1 XP in the corner of your sheet there. You go to put this book back, and you hear that, and you notice that in your jostling and reaching for the book, it seems as though a piece of your cloak has caught itself on a splinter, a sliver on the bookshelf. Perhaps it was there the whole time. And you lift, and it rips, and you see a tear form along the seam of this thing, and it weakens the lining of this cloak. And a book clatters out of one of your internal pockets, hits the ground, and opens.
Which book, Mike?
Weirdly enough, the Book of Seven Prophecies. It clatters open and lands on the prophecy of restoration. Galvin looks to you, looks to the book, and in response to you saying, this is not one of the books that I need to borrow, he says, well, clearly.
Apparently it's a pretty common book.
In some circles. Could be. Maybe someone's been writing in your book.
The confusing thing is that what was written in mine is written in yours.
Is it?
Yes.
Well,
Unless it's all one book.
he smiles and he says, that one's for free. Just one artifact. Interesting, wouldn't you say? That one. And he kind of like looks down his nose twice. As if he saw what page you opened to. What has
As if
been
it was
lost
fate.
will be found. I wonder what it is you'll redeem. Anyway, as I said, you should prepare yourselves.
Yep. That was poor quality craftsmanship on your cloak, by the way.
Yeah, it doesn't look like something you couldn't repair, Mina.
Yeah,
Take
mate.
what you can get in Corso.
It's the truth.
Thank you for your time,
Also-
Galvin.
Also out of character. Sorry about the dog. He's
Oh, you're
lonely.
I
And
appreciate
Mina will
your
head to
assistance,
the door.
sir. As I said, if there's anything else I can do for you, please let me know while you're here.
Mina just heads towards the door.
He sits back down in his plush, high-backed winged chair, and watches the three of you leave. Does anyone else say anything on their exit?
Korax will halfway to the door stop, turn back. As a learned man, I hope to learn from you, if that is all right, in the few days that we may or may not have before trouble arrives.
Time can be arranged. It seems you have much to learn.
That is true.
Oh, you're asking if we need anything. I just thought about something. When you have the time, flammable liquids and thick rags.
Trying to burn the town down.
Fire arrows.
All right.
Like you want burn their carts and stuff.
Well, all right. Not a bad
Put
idea.
slaves without cages. Destroy the cages.
That is true. Not a terrible idea. I'll see to it. I'll have them delivered to the tavern. I presume that is where you're staying.
For now.
Understood. Well, enjoy the rest of your time here. Again, I'm here if you need me. Just be careful on the lawn. And as you two exit, following Mina, the door sort of closes behind you. And you are left in what makes for roughly the town square. Like you're right near the town center. Where are you guys going? Is there anything you're doing to prepare, or are you just sort of waiting for the inevitable?
Mina will return to the tavern and ask if he can get access to the kitchen.
The bartender looks to you and she says, or the waitress or whatever, she looks to you and she says, I'm sorry, you'd like access to our kitchen? That's not really a service that we offer.
Mina will just hold up his pot and just say, Galvin asked me to make something for him.
Oh. You spoke with Galvin. In that case. And she motions towards the kitchen.
And Mina will go in there and prepare his stuff.
What are you preparing, Mina?
So it's a rudimentary form of dream dust that his mother gave him the recipe for.
Okay. Make your own dream dust. Yeah. Roll me a... I'll take intelligence. Difficulty 3. You can use whatever potion making skills you may have to help reduce this.
That would be none.
Okay. Well, know that it was a 4, and I gave you an asset for your mother teaching you how to do it. Okay. So you begin to make this. It takes some time. There are some fail points. It gets a little bitter. There's some acrid smoke that happens, but by the end of it, you believe you have made exactly what your mother taught you to make. It looks fairly similar. It's like, when you make a recipe that you kind of haven't made in a while, and it looks close enough that you're pretty comfortable eating it. This looks close enough. You haven't made this in quite some time, but you're pretty sure this is what she taught you how to make. So you have that. You have, we'll call it bootleg dream dust. Korak, Seydlitz, what are you doing to prepare, if anything?
I'm probably gonna go find is there like a blacksmith or weaponsmith around? Someone I could get maybe an extra bowstring for my crossbow, maybe borrow a whetstone for my saber.
There is not. You being from a big city would find that strange. This is a small town, and most of the small towns that dot the Nightlands do not have any kind of weapons, let alone guards. They're barely guarded. They're kind of just ripe for the picking. And there is no such thing here. There is there is a blacksmith, but he shoes horses. He sharpens your knives, and that's about the extent of it. And he has the whetstone he uses, and he can give you a whetstone for your own purposes. But he takes it out of his store of only a handful of whetstones and sort of gives it to you. Says,
I would just borrow it for a few minutes and then give it back.
Oh, that's fine. That's fine. And you do so. You can spend some time there. You can see that he has very meager wares. Like, usually it's like any smithing he does is repairing a pot, shoeing a horse, making horseshoes, that kind of thing, or repairing a kitchen knife. There's no real weaponry to be seen in this town. Hence the need for defenders, hence the need for easy pickings for slave company. Korax, what about you?
Korax returns to the bar. It was the only place that he found possible quiet place to sit. He would find his place in the corner again and pull out his books and read once more.
Any book in particular?
He is specifically trying to understand the Bibliomancer book that he acquired.
Interesting.
It's his second night trying to read it and trying to understand what it's about.
Yeah.
He's trying to figure out what secrets it holds.
Interesting. Yeah, let me see here. Roll me. What should you roll me? It's going to be some kind of identifying things. It's going to be intelligence based, no more -1 for that. But it's going to be an identifying based thing. So intelligence, difficulty. Let me see here. Roll me a 1d6 plus 4.
1d6 plus 4. I think that's how to roll that. 8, 10.
Okay, cool. Roll me a difficulty 10 intelligence check.
Yeah, that's not going to happen. Submit. That is impossible, Mike.
It is.
And I've got nothing that's going to help with this. Nope. Try the roll. No, Mike. I didn't succeed against 30.
Okay, well, it turns out it's impossible to roll a 30 on a d20. However, interesting that you rolled max dice. Cool. Yeah, so you begin to read this book, and man, it is you are learned. You've read books, and it's not making sense. Like, it's as if the book is coded. Like there's some kind of cipher to it, or it's perhaps written in a different language, but the letters look the same. Like, the letters look how they should look, but none of these make sense as words. But you saw it read, so you know it can be done. However, it appears to be beyond your means at this point in time. You're welcome to retry that any day you'd like, once a day, DC 10. So, yeah, maybe learn some new things about books there, Corax. Mina, you begin to make dream dust. Corax, you begin to develop dyslexia. And Seydlitz, you make sharp objects. Time passes, the day kind of goes into night. Is there anything you guys are doing before nightfall, before you kind of turn in? Or anything else you'd like to do with your day? No? 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 Okay. So as you all turn in for the night, Mina, you taking that drug?
Yep.
Interesting. Okay. So I assume it's not a dust because you cooked it. What does this look like? Is it like a potion, a poultice? Is this like a slop?
Yeah, it's a slop, so it's kind of boiled down as much as possible.
Okay.
And it's just a residue almost.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, so everyone, you turn in for the night. Mina, you let this sloppy mushroom and plant-based goo slide down your gullet in hopes that it works like dream dust and that you will not, in fact, have any dreams that can be tracked by the King of Nod. However, the corruption bar says otherwise. And in fact, what you have made is quite the opposite. And you are immediately engulfed in dreams. But it's like a lucid dream in the sense that you are fully aware that you are dreaming. However, no amount of tricks or thought exercise or violent movement seems to rouse you from this slumber. You are dead to the world as far as anyone could see. Anyone looking at you from the outside would see that your breathing has slowed to almost non-existent. And anyone keen to put their head to your chest would notice that your heartbeat has slowed to about 1 beat every 30 seconds. And you find yourself standing in a forest, perhaps? But this isn't any forest you've seen in the RuneScape or in the Nightlands. This forest has enormous, grotesque trees that seem to have, non-Euclidean trunks. They don't make any sense the way that they're formed. They're bulbous and they move out, and there's some kind of ooze coming from them. Around your feet are these large red-capped mushrooms that sort of have these tendrils that distend from them. Every once in a while you see these mushrooms that look like they are tentacles almost sprouting out of the ground. I believe if you Google the devil's fingers, that's what they look like. They're pretty gross. They sort of wrap around. They're sort of moist looking. There's often a weird web casing around them that adds to their strange look. You see that there are creatures, is the best description you can give them, flying. Not like a bird, more like a weird fish. It seems to be pink. There's several of them. Not quite in a flock, but just sort of moving independently. They're long. They seem to be this weird pink fleshy kind of material, almost as if you turned skin inside out and sort of cleaned the blood away. And they have fins that sort of hang back along both sides of their body about 4 or 5 inches and sort of lazily move. And their tail comes down to a series of 4 tentacles that sort of almost propel them forward through the air. No real wings. And you see as one sort of turns towards you and begins to swim by. It has no eyes, but where its mouth should be is almost like a lamprey. It's just an open circle full of rows of teeth. And as you sort of step forward, the ground beneath you sort of crunches. And through the trees, you can see a large palace, all in black, and a single window is lit in bright red. And for whatever reason, you feel compelled to walk towards it. Do you do so, Mina?
Yeah, Mina will head straight towards it without thinking.
Okay. Perfect. That's what I like to see. You move forward towards this. As you walk towards this thing, you see that as the trees kind of pass by you, or you pass by the trees, this castle looms forward. It is massive. It seems to expand and grow and change, almost labyrinthian. And you see that the red light is moving, window to window to window, seemingly making its way in a vague zigzag pattern towards the bottom of the castle. And as you get closer, you see that before you is a chasm, and in the chasm is this like molten black something. And as you begin to walk towards this, a drawbridge begins to move down like a very old school castle. And as you begin to cross the drawbridge, you see that there are like hands and like faces are stretching out of this black goo, almost as if they're trying to reach for you. These hands seem to be 4-fingered, 3-fingered, 5, 6, 8-fingered. They are all different. These faces are fanged, they're long, they're humanoid, they're like ape-like. They're just a myriad of grotesque limbs as you walk towards this portcullis. And standing on the other side, you see that red light. The red light sits atop a staff. The staff sits in the hands of a man. He has brown, curly, shoulder-length hair, a very flamboyant robe, sashed at the middle, sort of like this is like a full-on elb, not like a robe you button up. This is one you put over your head, right? It has pauldrons, which seems ostentatious, even, for your standards. He has leather boots, and he seems to stand there with almost a bit of a swagger, holding this staff, glowing red. And he taps it, and all at once, the boiling black mass of nightmare sinks down. And he looks to you, and he leans in, says, "You're not exactly what I was expecting."
And you look like you could use a good stylist.
I look like I can do whatever I want here. You, on the other hand, look like a boy.
Do I look like a boy, or do I look like myself?
Well, you're what, 19?
Yeah.
Yeah. So in his definition, you look like a boy.
Okay.
A mere boy, bested my nodlings. What are you?
Just a tailor.
Just a tailor. Just a tailor. Interesting. He takes the staff and sort of like hoists it into his hand a little bit and points it at you. And you can see that this staff is very ornate, and at the top of it kind of like flares out like multiple sets of wings. And at the top of it is a floating red crystal. And he points it towards you. And I need you to make me an intellect defense difficulty 4.
You always pick the things I suck at.
I know. It's like I'm the GM, and I know what you're not great at.
I'm going to... Oh, gee, do I want to waste effort and possibly die? I'm going to not waste effort. No.
Okay. Mina, you feel not like a pain, but you feel like you're being pulled on. Like it feels like your insides are being pulled. Like you know that almost that like that kick when you're falling asleep and you kind of jolt back awake, or that same flop you feel if you go over a roller coaster. You feel that kind of like behind the navel, kind of like whoa, that kind of yank. And you see his eyes cast upward, right above your head. And he says, "Oh, interesting. Divinity?" And as you hear him say divinity, you look at him. And above his head are a dozen nimbuses, arcing and sort of floating in sequence. Each one looks a little bit different, and each one is jet black, and they glow red. Where did you get that spark of divinity, little man?
I think I blew up an angel.
Oh. That was one of mine. I liked that one.
Well, there's more of him to like now. You just have to go collect it all.
Hubris. I like it. You're bold, little man. Both to destroy one of mine and to come visit me in such a brazen manner.
I think
What
my mum
brings-
would call it stupid, not bold.
Well, it's a fine line we walk. What brings you here?
Poor quality craftsmanship.
Such is the folly of man. You realize I will kill you.
Not till you've finished with me.
You learn quickly. I'm enjoying playing with my toys. You and your friends. And the treasure you carry with you. I'll take that as well.
Well, I hope you enjoy the show.
I will. I will. Well, you seem to be shrouded from me for now. That only lasts for so long. And if you are so bold as to visit me here, I'm sure your friends are stupid enough to follow eventually. I'm not sure what
Can't
you
argue
did.
with that.
Go ahead.
I just said can't argue with that.
I'm not sure what you did to hide yourselves, but I'll find you. We'll find you. Mark my words. For now, run along, little man. Run along.
And Mina will turn his back on him and walk away slowly.
Okay. Mina, as you walk away from him, you see in the now perfectly still, almost glass-like black lagoon beneath the drawbridge, perfect mirror image of yourself. And there, glowing brightly above your head, is a nimbus. What does your nimbus look like, Mina?
It's just a kind of crescent with a needle through it on a slant.
You see it in perfect definition. It glows brightly above your head, undeniably. And as you pass over the drawbridge, as soon as your foot leaves the other side, leaves the edge of the drawbridge, it begins to raise itself back up. And you hear, kind of echoing, like on the wind, "So bold. This will be fun." And it just sort of, as you walk through this foreign terrain, the last shot we see is your eyes flickering open. And you see Seydlitz standing in the room, crossbow slung over his back. You see Korax knelt beside your bed, shaking you. Wake up! Wake up! You've been asleep for several days. That's where we end this episode. You made potions for sleepy time. Oh, and you failed. So.
No, he wakes up in a cart, looks around. He's like, no, wakes up in a cart, looks around. You're finally awake.
Yeah. Now we're playing Skyrim. Yeah, it's a sleep hanger. All right, that was episode 6. This one was called Nothing Ventured. Yeah, let's go around, do our introductions. Let's get the hell out of here, do some after show business. And yeah, that's what we'll do. We'll see you guys over on Patreon. So to start us off, we'll go with the slumbering wonder here. Norm, who are you? Where can we find you on the internet? What are you up to?
I'm Norm, or Snowdogs. You can generally find me in the Discord, and not in the kitchen because I don't cook well.
Perfect. Chris, who are you? Where can we find you on the internet, and what are you up to?
Mute. I'm Chris, aka Necrotic, whatever. Yeah, you can find me in Discord. Not up to much else at the moment. Yeah.
Perfect. And last but not least, Matt, who are you? Where can we find you on the internet, and what are you up to?
Matt or D. Doesn't really matter. You find me on Discord, YouTube, basically anywhere if there's a keyboard.
Perfect. Well,
with the exception of this, well, unless I'm at the public library.
That's true. The public basement. Like I said, this was episode 6. We had a blast here. A lot of weird shit happened, and I'm excited to explore that in our after show. If you guys want the after show, check it out by clicking on that link to Patreon in the chat or down below. And if you guys are watching this over on YouTube, we do stream every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday over on Twitch. So come on over and hang out with us at 8 p.m. Eastern Time and randomly on Saturdays. So check those out. But that's it for us. We'll see you guys next month for more Rise. So from all of us to you, bye-bye.